Good evening, fuckers. We are back, or at least two of us are. You may have noticed that Jim ain't here. Unfortunately, he's had to do the teenage boy method routine and reluctantly pull out. He felt that he couldn't really contribute much to this one. So, yeah, you're stuck with just us two. Never mind. So for this, we're doing something a little bit different. The last two videos were, top five albums by specific bands. For the third video, it seemed almost inevitable that we were going to, mention Lawnmower Death. Unfortunately, we decided to skip that one, and we've gone on to Metallica. And therein lies a bit of a problem, because as I'm sure everyone out there will know, and everyone in the world will agree, Metallica's first four albums were fantastic. The problem is, everything that they did after that was grade A dog shit. So, trying to come up with a top five Metallica albums, I'm waiting for a reaction from him. Trying to come up with a top five Metallica albums list wasn't going to be particularly easy, because everybody knew what the top four was going to be. It was just a case of what order. And, well, for me, the fifth one, if I could have included Garage Inc., then, yeah, okay. I mean, not one shred of original material on there, but that would have been my number five. I couldn't give a fucking monkey's toss about anything else they've done.
Well, my number five would have been the most recent one, Hardwired, because that one actually sounds like Metallica in parts.
Yeah, I had a horrible feeling you were going to mention Hardwired there. Yeah, I know you don't mind that one.
No, but everything in between is shit. Maybe one or two tracks here or there, but not many.
Yeah, I don't think we were going to have Lulu or Saint Anger appearing on any lists.
I refuse to recognise their existence.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move. So what we've done then is we have chosen what is unquestionably Metallica's greatest album, which is And Justice for All, and we are going to be going through the entire playlist and rating each track in order from 1 to 9. Number 1 obviously being the best, 9 being the worst, or I think what may more accurately be described in your case as not quite as good as the rest.
I mean, that's fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, there is one song on this album that I absolutely cannot stand. The other 8, I think they are all decent songs. There are some that are better than others, but the other 8, none of them are shit. Not even slightly.
I don't think there's a shit song on the album. I honestly do like them all. So when I was compiling my list, I wouldn't say I found it difficult, but I found it harder than choosing 5 Queen or Iron Maiden albums, because you're working from one pool of songs, and this was the album that I heard first. My first experience of Metallica was And Justice for All. No singles or anything like that. It was like round a mate's house. I've bought this. We was all getting into metal. I've bought this. See what you reckon. And he put it on vinyl. Started on side 1. We listened to the whole thing until the needle lifted up at the end of side 2, and I was absolutely blown away. Is it better than Master of Puppets? I don't know, but I prefer it to Master of Puppets myself. It's my favourite one.
I do think it is Metallica's best album. The 3 previous ones were all great, but this one topped the lot. I'm trying to remember, did this come out in 88 or 89?
88.
88. So we've been listening to this album for 33 years, and I think it sounds every bit as good today as it did when I first heard it 33 years ago. And that is despite, I suppose we've got to address the elephant in the room when it comes to this album, the production. It's not good, is it?
It's fair to say the production's probably comes under the shit umbrella.
Yeah. You go through each section, right? The drums. The snare sounds very splashy. The toms sound very empty and like, they just haven't got any balls at all. The cymbals go from one extreme to the other. They're either like barely audible to drowning absolutely everything out so you can't hear anything else. So the drum sounds a fucking mess.
It is. It is. I mean, it's like you say. I mean, 1 minute the hi-hats are barely audible, and the next minute it sounds like Lars Ulrich's playing a set of gongs.
Yeah. Then you get the guitars. Way too much tone, way too much treble, no bass at all. So again, they have this very sort of like empty, sort of tinny sound to them. There's no crunch there, and again, there's no bollocks there. It's really empty sound.
Thing is, though, as me and you have discussed, you put it all together,
Exactly.
and unbelievably,
yeah, it works, and it works fucking well. Now, whether or not it would work for any other song, I don't know, but it certainly fucking works for the 9 songs they've got on this album.
yeah. I mean, me personally, ever since I discovered that one where some guy played bass along with it, I've tended to listen to that one rather than the original. But it's the original we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, and that is because the really big thing as far as the production, the bass guitar just cannot be heard.
No, the only bass guitar sound you get at all in that is the occasional sort
Well, yeah, when they're muting the guitar strings, you get this. It's like a sort of feedback or something coming from the speakers, the amplifiers, and again, it sounds awful. There are occasions where it sounds pretty bad, actually, I must admit, but for the most part, yeah, they get away with it.
just.
Yeah, yeah, just.
I'd have been majorly fucked off if I'd have been Jason Newsted in 1988 when that come out. I would have gone to Flemming Rasmussen and I would have said, I heard Ride the Lightning, I heard Master of Puppets, I left Flotsam and Jetsam where I was their main music writer to join Metallica. Where the fuck is my bass?
Yeah, that's the other thing to add. I mean, okay, you listen to the production here and you must think, oh dear, the producer of this must be shit. Flemming Rasmussen, he was not shit. I mean, the man who produced the first 3 Metallica albums, he knew how to produce records, all right. He certainly knew how to produce metal records. So basically, he was kind of hampered by the fact that Metallica came along and said, right, this is the sound we want. And I think he even tried to change it a couple of times, and they tweaked it straight away, and they made him change it back. So, the sound you get is the sound Metallica wanted, and they were not budging.
I mean, I must admit, I'm surprised his name's still on it. I'm surprised this record doesn't say produced by Alan Smithy.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's not... Well, we're sitting here, cunting it off and saying it's not worth the vinyl is printed on that, and yet we've both also said it's Metallica's best album.
Well,
so...
that's it. See, it is the sort of paradox with this album. Yeah, the production is shit, and yet you take all of those like shit sounding sort of separate things, the awful drums, the awful guitars, no bass guitar. Put them all together, and it fucking works, and it fucking works well. Like I say, I don't know if that is just because the songs suit the sound. If it would work, I mean, if you heard something like Seek and Destroy with this production, would that have worked? I'm not sure myself.
No, I'm not sure. I mean, you have sent me more than one Metallica song where someone's played it in the style of this, that, and the other, and I mean,
yeah, but let's face it, it's nearly always such and such a song as it would be on Saint Anger.
Yeah, that's not going to win any fucking prizes, is it?
Right, okay, so what we're going to do then, we'll go through the album in track order. And as far as the points go, we're going to use the pointless system, where the lowest score is like the highest place one. So if you put it, put a track at number 9, it's going to score 9 points, and what have you, and then we'll total it up at the end, and we'll have a definitive, rating for the entire And Justice for All album, and no one could possibly argue with it, whatsoever.
Oh no, of course not.
Mm.
I mean, all two of us giving out,
So if Jim, had been able to listen to the album, then we could have had 3, but unfortunately South London isn't going to be represented here today. So shall we get things underway?
We certainly can.
All right, let's bring it up. So we start with Blackened. I think the one and only writing credit that Jason Newsted gets, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a shame he didn't get any sound credits.
Which, well, let's face it, we could say that about every song on this album.
Yeah, although you can sort of hear a little bit of bass in the intro. Not much, but there is. I think the intro to Blackened is possibly the most bass you will hear on this entire album.
Yeah. It's not saying a lot, but if you are one of the 3 people in the world who have not heard this album, yeah, give it a listen. You'll quickly find out exactly what we mean. Actually, before we go on about Blackened, let's address one other question. Metallica's first 3 albums, unquestionably thrash metal. Is And Justice for All a thrash album?
Yes and no. Because in my opinion, this is the first thrash prog album.
We were talking about this just the other week. That is a term that I was going to use, and there are some songs in particular where it really does apply. Progressive thrash. I don't know if there was such a genre, or even if there is, a recognised genre of progressive thrash. But I highly suspect that if there is one, this is the album that invented it.
Yeah, we should also add that we both came to that conclusion separately. You asked me, and I said, "Oh, I think it's prog thrash," and you're like, "Oh, that's what I thought." So yeah.
Personally, I would not class it as a thrash album. And in a later video that we've got planned, this would not get considered, or not by me anyway, because there is something about it that just, to me, it just doesn't qualify as a thrash album. For me, thrash is about 2 things: sounding as heavy as you can and playing as fast as you can. If it hasn't got both of those things in it, it's not really a thrash album.
It depends on the album at large. I mean, this has thrashy moments. I'm not gonna,
definitely, yeah.
I'm not going to, take away from the heavy amount of thrash riffage that this has got in it.
Yeah.
But it has a lot of sort of not strummed parts, but sort of like picked guitar parts. If you've listened to Ride the Lightning, think Fade to Black. You got a soft bit, a heavy bit, a soft bit, a heavy bit, and then it's just heavy. But it's got that kind of thing with it.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose my definition of thrash is a bit unfair, because going by that, then you'd have to say, well, in that case, So Far So Good, So What is not a thrash album because of In My Darkest Hour. But I mean, that's a thrash album through and through. So I'd say, okay, right, the vast majority of the album needs to be as fast as you can, heavy as you can. And again, this doesn't really qualify, because there isn't an awful lot of out and out played, as fast as you can, playing your bollocks off heavy stuff in this.
Well, no, I can think of the end of a couple of songs and one other song that is balls out thrash.
Yeah. Other than that, no, they're much more Well, I'll say they're closer to mid-tempo than they are out-and-out speed. There's only really a couple of like really slow songs in this. So yeah, it's a real borderline case. But for me, I'd say no, it's not a thrash album.
Yeah, yeah. I would probably lump it in with thrash due to quite a lot of the parts of it. But if you're breaking it down like that, I'd just be awkward and stick with progressive thrash and give it a title all of its own, because there's not another album that sounds like this. I mean,
No.
there are bands that have tried to sound like this and failed
Yeah,
miserably.
yeah, don't get anywhere near. No, it really is a one-off. So, Blackened then, the album intro. Right, I'll let you start with this one.
What do you want me to start with? Points or just talking about it?
Well, yeah. Let's just, your opinion. Will give us the rating at the end, or at the end of it, the discussion on each song.
Well, Blackened, I think, is a superb album opener, because you've got that backtracked guitar and bass at the beginning, and then it kind of sets out the stall. Now, this one is quite a thrashy start.
Yeah,
You kind of know where you stand. It's like, okay, this is going to be a heavy record. Yeah, it's a good track. I mean, it is a great album opener. If you're into environmental stuff, the lyrics will work for you. It's got a bit of politics going on. I can't, I don't fault Blackened. I'm not going to say it's my favourite on the album,
no,
but it rates quite highly for me. I do like it a lot.
right. I do think it is a decent album opener, especially that faded in intro, and then the initial part where it is like fucking balls out fast, and then it stops, and it gets to that slow bit, and it does something that I really don't like in any songs in any music genre, where it's like he's just saying individual words. He's not singing lines, and I really don't like that in songs. And I think that spoils this. If they'd written better lyrics for it, I'd have liked it a lot more. I do not, by any stretch of the imagination, think it's a shit song, but there are better on this album, I think.
Yeah, there are better on this album. I don't mind that bit you're talking about, he's going on about agitation, violation, and all that sort of stuff. I mean, he's kind of... I often wonder with some of these musicians if they actually believe and stand by some of the stuff they write. I mean, like, I remember when I got Countdown to Extinction by Megadeth, and I heard the title track, and I thought to myself, I wonder if Dave Mustaine actually believes what he's singing about, like, one animal dying every 17 seconds and all this sort of stuff. And I wonder that with this, it was, when James Hetfield was screaming out, planet dies and stuff like that. Well, was that something they got behind, or was it just, we're going to fill up the song with it? That's one thing we'll probably never know unless you ask him.
Well, let's face it, at the time this was recorded, I think the only thing James Hetfield was really interested in was where was his next drink coming from.
Yeah, quite possibly, and maybe a bag of white powder.
Yeah, and that as well. Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing we should say about this. Even though they'd done the Garage Days revisited $5.98 EP with Jason Newsted, this album comes off the back 2 years after they've lost Cliff Burton, who, though while not their leader. He was he not a bit older than the rest of them? So he was kind of someone they looked up to.
Yeah, he was definitely someone that they all looked up to, especially James. I mean, it was almost like he treated Cliff Burton as like his older brother, didn't he?
Yeah, so I mean, I will give them, although it's no excuse for the years of shit music that followed, I will give them their due on this album that they were, the three of them were fucking hurting, and they were hurting big. And that's why there was a lot of drugs and alcohol and general trying to numb the brain. Because if you didn't know, on the Master of Puppets tour, on one of the last, well, obviously Cliff Burton's last gig, on the last gig they did in that tour. The bus driver lost control of the bus on an icy road. The back window behind Cliff Burton's bunk popped out. Cliff Burton popped out behind it, and the bus landed on him, thus killing him. And obviously, I got into Metallica a bit after that, but at the time, there was a strong case between the rest of the band members. Is like, do we carry on? Is this the end of the band? And this was their next big album, so they were hurting when they recorded this.
Yeah. Well, I think, wasn't it, they quoted the lyrics from Whiplash, we'll never stop because we're Metallica, and yeah, they decided, all right, yeah, we will carry on. I think they all agreed that, Cliff Burton would not have wanted them to like pack it in.
No, he also wouldn't wanted them to write shit like Fuel either, let's be honest.
No, that's true. He certainly wouldn't have wanted them to release an album where you can't hear the bass guitar at all. But yeah.
No, he certainly wouldn't, would they? So you have to wonder, so did they turn down Jason Newsted's bass in honour of Cliff Burton and not have a bass because no one else can fill his shoes? If that's the case, why fucking employ him to play on the album?
Yeah. I don't think we're ever going to know the real reason why they did that. I've listened to a couple of interviews from the people, or some of the people who worked on the album, and this will come as a real surprise. Apparently it was Lars who insisted on that particular sound and having the... he said, turn the bass down so that it's barely audible and then reduce it by another 7 decibels. And
can you imagine him saying that to Cliff Burton? I mean, when you think about the bass howls on things like the Call of Cthulhu and From the Bell Tolls and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know, it's fucking ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, where does Blackened go on your in your top 9?
Right, well, the PantherUK gives it 3 points. I'm only saying that because it's Eurovision tomorrow.
It's at number 3.
Yeah, I've given that 3.
Fucking hell, you got it way higher than mine. I've got it at number 8.
Blimey, as low as that? No, I do really like Blackened. I mean, I do really like the whole fucking album. This is going to be difficult.
That's it. Like I said, I don't think that it's a shit song. Not at all. It's at number 8 because the other songs ahead of it, I just think are better, and it is as simple as that. And that's going to happen quite a lot in this video, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing we should probably mention is that this is a subjective list of what we think, and we already know there's going to be one bone of contention between us. So,
well, it looks like we've got a pretty hefty difference of opinion to start with. I have Blackened at 8, and you've got it at 3.
It'd be funny if they all get the same amount of points.
Yeah, they end up fucking cancelling each other out. Yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it?
We don't have to release the video. We'll do something else.
Yeah. We could be wasting our time here. Anyway, on that note, And Justice for All, the title track. You want me to start or you?
Yeah, go on, you can start this one.
I think this song is fucking genius. This, when I was thinking progressive thrash, this is the song that straight away came to mind. I've not heard anything like it. It's not flawless. You can really hear how empty the toms on the drums sound when they're going through like the main riff and that. And yeah, again, production could have done with being a bit tighter there. But I just think it is fucking fantastic. This is one of those songs where if you are a prog fan and not so much a thrash fan, you still want to give this song a try because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. This song is genius. It is absolute genius. The way this song opens up with the Well, it's not clean acoustic guitar, but it's not roaring thrash guitar. Sort of
Yeah.
like it's got like a picked. It's got almost a. It's got almost a sort of slow flamenco sound to it. The guitar, the way they've picked them out. It's really hard to explain what I mean with that.
Well, Kirk Hammett is quite a fan of flamenco guitar, isn't he? So it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean when I
I,
say
I
that?
know what you're saying. I don't necessarily agree about the flamenco bit, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, but I mean it's like very very slow. It's not like the. I'm just trying to think of the actual guitar sound because it's not a clean acoustic sound,
No,
but
that's right.
it's also not a Marshall stack with the overdrive turned on.
No,
So
no.
it's kind of somewhere in between the two. But yeah, this
Um,
this is a fantastic track, and uh, oh, it's the second longest track on the album. I thought it was the
yeah,
longest. It's the second
yeah,
longest
yeah.
by
Only
3 seconds.
just. Yeah. And it flies by.
Yeah, and
It
therein
doesn't
is
feel like.
therein is its progginess as well.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, you listen to it and you think it's been like 5 minutes or so. You can't believe it's been like, nigh on 10 minutes this song's gone on. It never gets boring. It just, it grabs you from the start. I really cannot find a flaw in it. And yeah, I will say before I give the rating, it's not my number one.
No, it's not my number one either. But I mean, you summed it up with genius, and it is very proggy,
Yeah.
as you've said. I mean, I do like progressive metal. I do like progressive rock as well, and this definitely fits in the progressive metal barrier. It's a bit more than rock, but it's a lot less than thrash.
Oh
So,
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
although some parts of the song are quite thrashy, so it's
Yeah, so it does have, its fast bits. It's not just, like a mid-tempo thing all the way through. So, yeah, they do like their tempo changes throughout the whole fucking album, But,
yeah.
yeah, with this song, for sure.
This is a firm candidate. There's so many time changes in this song.
Yeah, I bet this song must be a right fucking bastard to play.
I don't know if they've actually played it live since the Justice tour. I mean, I've never seen Metallica live. Never got round to it. I think a few of my mates saw them on this tour, but for whatever reason, I didn't go with them.
Yeah, okay. A few of my mates went and saw them on the Justice tour. And some of the stories they said didn't sound good. It almost sounded like, cause I think it was like really towards the end of the Justice tour, and it sounded like Metallica were getting sick of playing a lot of this stuff, because I forget which song it was, and they said they were playing along and they just stopped, and Hetfield said, "Oh, sorry, we just can't carry on with this song. It's too fucking long." I'm like, what? So yeah, it's almost like Metallica got a bit sick of it before the tour had even ended, which I think is one of the reasons why nowadays actually I don't know so much about right bang up to date, but they did used to do that Justice medley, didn't they? And just play like loads of different bits of each thing into one song. It was almost like, oh, let's get the Justice for All album out of the way. Why? Why reduce it to that?
I mean, you got to admit, I mean, it's a very technical album in the way the songs are structured and put together. Apart from the prog aspect, the whole thing is an exercise in technicality.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's by far the most technical album that Metallica have ever done.
Yeah, I mean, you got I mean, how much further away could you get? I mean, their next album was like, I don't know, most of it was pop, wasn't it?
Yeah, to me it was. It was like listening to fucking Bon Jovi, "Slippery When Wet" or something. Yeah, oh, it's fucking awful.
But when you listen to this album, you can see why they got sick of playing it. I mean, it's brilliant for the listener, but I mean, as a musician, trying to play some of them guitar parts and even some of the drumming parts on it are all over the shop.
Yeah, I think this was the last album that they did where Lars was still showing some sort of like ability behind the drums. After this, he just kept doing the same basic, simple thing over and over again. At least that's what it sounds like to me. So, where is And Justice for All on your top 9?
Second.
Slightly ahead of mine. I have mine at number 3. So, our opinions there are pretty close.
Yeah, that's fair to say. What a great song, though. I mean, do you want to hear a bit of it?
Yeah, go on. Actually, before you do, we've got to play a bit of everything. Let's start off with a bit of Blackened, and then we'll have a bit of And Justice for All.
All right, do you want me to start Blackened right from the intro, I suppose, then?
Yeah, I suppose we'll have to, won't we?
Yeah, why not?
Put it this way, I've got to edit this thing, so yeah, start at the beginning.
So that was a bit of Blackened.
Yeah, right. You know, it's going to be painful every time you stop these at 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, if you really want a long video, you can play every song all the way through. But,
yeah, I think that's going to take you to a bit extreme there.
yeah, it was on double vinyl after all. All right, I'll play the first 2 minutes of Justice then.
All right, yeah, let's have a bit of this.
Yeah, I didn't really want to stop that.
No.
Yeah, it's a good job we left that running. Otherwise, everyone's going to think that was an instrumental.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we may do that for each clip. We'll go up to the lyrics with one exception, obviously, but yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah.
Right, on to track number 3, Eye of the Beholder.
It was a damn fine video game.
Yeah, it certainly was that. It's also, I think, a fucking great song. I am a.
We may differ on that scope.
Yeah, no way. This is fucking great. This song. I mean, it's very, very simple riffing. I mean, that intro part is just, like I think it's just muted E's all the time. I love, say the gradual intro. I love the tempo change when he gets, from verse into chorus. I think this is superb. It's not been number 1, but it very nearly was.
That would have been really funny because it's nowhere near my number 1. In fact, if I mean, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore this album from start to finish. But if I had to choose one track to skip, this would be it. It's never really done anything for me. This one was this one of the singles as well.
I remember there was like a cassette single of it, but for some reason I think it was only released as a cassette single. Never saw it on vinyl. Never saw it as a CD single or nothing. So. It had a very sort of limited, like single release.
Yeah, because there was quite a few. I mean, 1988 was the year of the infamous Brit Awards with the dancers to a heavy metal sort of like medley of different songs, and Mick Fleetwood and Sam Fox saying everything wrong. But 88 metal was massive. I mean, some of the albums that come out. I mean, you're looking at Seventh Son, this South of Heaven. So Far, So Good, So What? It was a good year for metal. So yeah, there was quite a few. I think it was. What was it? You had this one. Yeah, I think there was 3 singles from this, and I think all of them hit the top 30. One of them hit the top 20, which for a thrashy kind of band is
yeah.
That was new.
Yeah,
it was only normally Maiden or Motorhead that made the charts.
Yeah.
Eye to Beholder, yes. Yeah, it's a great song. It, without giving it away too much, it's probably my least favourite on the album.
No, well, yeah, clearly a big old difference of opinion there.
That's what makes these videos great, though.
Yeah, I have to say, well, you've known for ages, I've always been intrigued by what you're going to have as your number 1, and, well, I'm going on the assumption that this is going to be your number 9. I never for 1 second thought that you would have this, like, really low down in your list.
Yeah, it's just that it's the one track on this album that doesn't grab me like the others. I mean, when I started compiling the order that I put these in the way that I like them, I started with my number 1 and my number 9, and number 9 I filled in first, and it is Eye to Beholder. It doesn't mean it's a shit song.
No, that's it. I remember you saying, you don't think there are any songs on this album that are shit. It's just that you think the other 8 songs are better than this.
Yeah, I mean, and there's always going to have to be one that's going to be last, and for me, it's this one.
Well, I'm blown away by that. I have it at number 2 on mine. So yeah, that is, well, it's not quite as big a difference as you can get, but I'm pretty sure that is going to be the biggest difference in this list.
Put it this way: the worst song on this album is better than a lot of other bands' best songs. So
yeah. Well, in your case, In my case, that may not necessarily be true. Right, let's have a bit of Eye of the Beholder then. Still number 9?
Yeah, still number 9. It's come on, man. I know this album inside out. Yeah, but me putting it at number 9 doesn't mean I'm saying it's rubbish by any stretch of the imagination. This is one of my all-time favourite albums. You know, this is up there in the echelons with Peace of Mind and stuff like that for me personally. So, yeah, something's got to go last, and for me, it's Eob.
Okay, well, I can say anyone watching, direct your comments to him there. Yeah. Right. On to 1. Now, this really is a song of two halves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got that prog going on, and it starts as a prog song, ends as a thrash song. Also, before we move on completely, Eye of the Beholder is the song that you can really hear the woo, 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 woo sort of bass sound on. That's the track I was referring to when I said that earlier on.
Oh, okay, yeah, I must admit, it is very prominent in that song.
Yeah.
Actually, there are bits in 1 where it's very prominent. During the sort of like transition bit from like the slow part into like the thrash bit, yeah, it really does happen a lot there as well. To me, this is all about the second half of it. I could completely skip the first half of the song.
I don't mind it. This was out of the ones they released as singles, I'm pretty sure this peaked at number 20 in the UK charts. And for someone who was 16 at the time, having some music you like, I mean, I used to like the Beastie Boys and you know, things like Run DMC and that. So that sort of stuff when I was a kid was in the chart all the time. When I like found the music that I really fell in love with, which was metal, to see some of that in the charts, because it's always been a fairly niche music. I mean, I say 88 was a big year for metal. 88 was also a massive year for acid house, and you had people screaming acid all over the place.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, to have something like this in the charts, you know, I mean, that year, I mean, Seventh Son had a lot of singles from it. So you know, you had things like The Evil That Men Do and The Clairvoyant in the charts around the same time as you had like One by Metallica.
Mm.
So you know, it was a good time before everything went stock aitken and fucking Waterman.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Wasn't also stuff like "Make Me Laugh" from Anthrax, wasn't they in the charts
Yeah,
around this sort of time as well? Fucking Anthrax that got pretty high. I seem to recall.
yeah. I think that and Antisocial got quite high because you know I think it was really 87 to sort of 1990 were the big metal years. So that's how Metallica got as big as they did and turned into an arena act rather than being a thrash metal band because
Mm.
people just, you know, people really bought into it. I mean, I know a lot of people that got into metal around that time, and pretty much all of them are still into metal. So at least it had a lasting effect.
Yeah, yeah. One thing I will say about the single, when you consider the rather grotesque subject matter of the song, um, the cover of the single, I really don't think Pushead was the best choice of artist for that one.
No, it doesn't really fit in. I think, I mean, their promo video for this had a bit too much of the talking in it from the
Yeah,
film they
far
used.
too much. Yeah, I didn't like it.
But if they'd have got rid of the talking and just had the visuals from that, you know, the bits where he says landmine has taken my arms, taken my legs, and then you got that bloke who's literally a torso with a box over his face where his face has gone as well. I mean, that's a grim view at the best of times.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, I think. I think Mr. Pushead rather. He didn't get the memo for that one. I don't think.
Yeah, he was just like, I'm going to draw a skull.
Yeah, yeah. His fucking fanged skull, which seems to be in everything he ever draws, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I wonder if Pushead was trying to create another Eddie or Vic Rattlehead or Snaggletooth, you know, like the band emblems.
I wouldn't be at all surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't last much past this album, did he?
The only other thing I can think of that he did was Saint Anger cover. Well, yeah.
No, let's be honest, that was probably the best bit about the album.
Yeah, it probably was. And
I'd
that's by
rather
no
look
means.
at, I'd rather look at that than fucking play it.
Yeah. So yeah, getting back to this, the first bit. I mean, I don't think the acoustic part. I don't think it's terrible, but it's something I can sort of give or take. The transition bit, I think, is a bit of a mess. But the thrash part, I think, is fucking great. So it really is, absolutely a song of two parts. And I think the thrash part of it is good enough to mean that, well, it's gone as high as it has on my list.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they were trying to achieve in the thrash part was kind of the same thing, maybe not as successful as Nico McBrain was doing in Where Eagles Dare, when he was trying to make the drums sound like gunfire. But I tell you
Right.
what, for their guitars, at that actual bit, the thrash bit you're talking about,
Yeah.
the guitars do kind of sound like they're trying to sound like gunfire. It's
Yeah.
it's not unsuccessful.
No, it's not.
It's just drums make that sound a bit better by their nature.
Yeah. And I think it works well enough that I have one at number 7 on mine.
Do you? I have one at number 5 on mine.
So more or less right halfway.
No, that'd have been
Interesting.
4.5. Sorry, carry on.
You know, I'm just one mouse click away, don't you? You know, yeah. Right. Well, after all this talk about the thrash bit, we're not going to hear it. Let's have a bit of the opening couple of minutes.
I mean, I can forward on to the thrash bit if you want, but you've got to edit it, so we'll just play the beginning, shall we?
Yeah.
See, now the thing about that song is, like you said, it's quite a grotesque subject, you know, basically being blown up by landmines on the battlefield, and losing control of your body and that. But it's got such, I would call that it's what I term sort of like a pretty song. It's got a very nice, catchy, almost beautifully played intro. I mean, I know you're not a major fan of acoustic guitar, but with regards to this song, you prefer the second half of it, is what I should say. You can see why it did well in the charts, but I wonder how many people heard the beginning of that on the radio and thought, "Oh, this is nice," went out and bought it, and then shat their pants when the second half started. I'd imagine there was a few people that did that with Nothing Else Matters, because that sold in droves. And they thought, "Oh, I like this band Metallica," and they went out and bought Kill 'Em All and put it on and was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Go out and buy Ride the Lightning. As soon as Fire with Fire starts, that brings them back down to earth.
Yeah. So yeah, I can see why that did as well as it did.
Well, regarding the single again, did you buy the single of this?
I can't remember. I might have done. I can't remember. I've got a few Metallica singles that I bought over the years, but I can't remember now. I think I have got this on 12-inch. I'm sure I have. My records are all packed in a box safely somewhere.
So I went a bit mad with this one. I bought the 7-inch single, the 12-inch single, the video single. And I also, I don't know if you remember this, they brought out a single of the demo version of this. Did you ever hear that?
I must have done.
It said in the notes, it was either on the back or it might have been a gatefold or something like that. It said that the demo that was on that record, it was Kirk Hammett had only heard the song the night before they went in to record this, and it was the first time he had done the solo. The intro part, his intricate guitaring at the start sounds terrible. The main solo during the thrash part is almost identical to the version that's on the album, and he did that from hearing the song just the night before.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk Hammett is. I think he's one of the world's best guitarists. I mean, he was taught by Joe Satriani. I mean, regardless of what you might think of the Satch's music, I mean, the man can play a guitar.
Oh yeah.
And I think he's overlooked as a guitarist because some people just think, oh, heavy metal, thrash metal.
Yeah. Yeah, I would go along with that. I don't mind some of Joe Satriani stuff. Got a couple of his albums. No prices for guessing what they are.
Flying in a Blue Dream and Surfing with the Alien.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, how did you guess?
Because that's the two I've got.
Okay, there you go. But I mean, he certainly developed his own style. You can't hear, well, I can't anyway, hear much in the way of like Satriani influence in his solos or anything. But I think the only reason why he gets overlooked is because he's not one. He just does not seem interested in being in the limelight. He's quite happy to sort of stay out of the back and out of everyone's way.
Well, yeah, I mean, I follow Kirk Hammett on Facebook because he's probably the only member of Metallica from this era that didn't really annoy me. Well, no, Jason Newsted didn't. I didn't know he existed, to be honest. But and he tends to post more about horror films and stuff like that than he does music. So he's got quite a wide sort of taste in things that he puts up. So.
Well, if he's a horror fan, then yeah, that's a big plus point in my books. Okay, well that's one. So right, we're on to disc 2 then. The Shortest Straw. Let's get the bad bit out of the way first. I hate the intro. The intro to me sounds like somebody's trying to start up an outboard motor. It's a mess. Once the song starts, I think it is fucking superb.
It's all right. It's not bad. It's I find this is one of the songs that really does suffer from the production on this one. All right, it's not a great deal worse than the others, but I think the production on The Shortest Straw, it lets it down a bit.
Is it the guitaring in particular during the main riff? Yeah,
I think it's just the mix. It's this song doesn't work as well with the way they've mixed the album compared to the rest of it. I think it's a fairly good song, but it's dropped down my list a bit because I don't think this song fits the production as well. I think this song would have sounded better had it have been on Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets. I think it sounds more of that era sort of song because it's got a lot of stop start, like you say, the outboard motor at the beginning. Well, I mean, Master of Puppets had plenty of that on the whole album, and I think this would have been better suited on Puppets with that production. Not to say it's shit by a long way, but
I'd never really considered this one. I've always thought that again, I thought the song suited the sound of this album, so I never really had a problem with that. So the only part of it that I'm not that keen on is the intro, but I think the rest of it is so fucking good. It more than makes up for that.
Well, I mean, I'm clutching at straws to say bad things about any of these songs, mate. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I don't want to be like the chirpy optimistic one, but I mean, I am struggling to say bad stuff because I hold this album in such high regard. So I think this would have worked better on one of their earlier albums. That's just the way I feel about the song.
Well, if I find any of those YouTube videos where what if the shortest straw was on Ride the Lightning or something, then yeah, I'll let
What
you
do you
know.
What do you mean if? I'm expecting a link now, let alone later on.
Um, yeah, I'm a bit surprised that you don't rate this one. I know this is one of those songs that some people say it's album filler. For me, this album doesn't have any album filler. Well, with one possible exception.
Yeah, I had a beholder.
No, definitely not. I am the beholder. So yeah, I don't get the album filler criticism. It may not be like the most memorable of songs, but yeah, I am a big fan. I really do like this.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what I've said about Eye the Beholder, I don't actually think there's any filler on this album. I think it's a solid listen from start to finish.
And there's scant few albums like that.
Yeah, there's not many, is there?
Unfortunately, I can't even say that this is an album where I listen to it all the way through because I think they're all great. But we'll come to that in a bit. But it is pretty close. At this rate, I won't even skip the song I hate. I just listen to it and ignore it, and then go on to what's left, which gives away that it's not the last song that I hate. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Shorty Straw. I've got it at number 4.
I have got it at number 8.
I can't believe that. So your bottom 2 are Shorty Straw and Eye of the Beholder. Fucking. Oh well.
It's good to have a difference of opinion. How boring would the video be if you say something and I go, yes, Chris, you're right. Everything,
it wouldn't quite work, would it?
No.
All right. I guess we're about to hear that dead good fucking intro, aren't we? But here we go.
Yeah, gentlemen, start your engines.
Yeah. Great song.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue.
Right, the moment has come. Harvester of Sorrow.
Love it.
Oh, fucking hate this song. It's shit.
Right, go on, and you tell me why it's shit, and then I'll tell you why it's not.
Right. I hate it because it is unbelievably boring. Everything it does, to me, is really boring. It's not slow enough to be an out-and-out slow tempo song because they can sound fucking great. I mean, I listen to enough doom metal to be able to say, yeah, slow tempo can sound great. It's certainly not a fast song. It's at that fucking awful sort of like midway between mid-pace and slow, where it's just slowly plodding along, and then you got that dun 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 dun. It just bores the fuck out of me. It plods along, it does nothing, it goes nowhere, it's just shit.
You're not going to hold back, are you? Well, I think the only thing that's wrong with this song is where it is on the album. I would have had this and The Shortest Straw switched round. So this opened up disc 2, coming off the back of 1 as a breather. I do like Harvester of Sorrow. I don't find the speed annoying. I quite like the fact that you've got sort of like a bit of respite with what's coming up in terms of music. But like I say, I would have switched it with a previous track. I've got no problem with it at all. I really like the slow riff in this one, and I really like the weird. It's a very weird slow solo that they've got going on towards the end of this, and you know I do like Kirk's musicianship on this. I think it's a great song. It's this, you know, it's not one of my favourites on the album, but I don't regard it with quite the level of disdain that you do. Not by quite a way.
Yeah. Because this was released as a single before the album came out, wasn't it? So this was basically sort of giving us a taster of the album to come. And I remember when I first heard it, and I thought, well, if this is what the album's like, I don't want to go anywhere near it. Yeah, I've never liked it from the moment I first heard it, and age, if anything, has made me think it's even worse. So yeah, even though I don't skip it when I'm listening to the album, yeah, unsurprisingly, if I'm at the computer and I've got the mouse here, yeah, skip. I rarely do. I normally just let it play through, but yeah. Not a fan.
See, the trouble with this song is because it was the lead single before the album come out proper. Yeah, it did paint a picture of Metallica have slowed down somewhat. And Iron Maiden got this with Peace of Mind when they released Flight of Icarus as the lead single. Everyone was like, "Well, this is slow and plodding. This isn't like the previous album." You know, it's perhaps it's a fourth album syndrome to have a slow plodding number on there. But
well, I don't know. I mean, Flight of Icarus is fucking blistering compared to this.
I like it, mate. I always have liked it. You know, this whole album. I mean, aside from anything else, seeing as we're a pair of old cunts now, this has got that nostalgia factor as well. You know, I remember hearing this album for the first time and realising, because this is probably the first, and I'll put it in quotes, thrash album I listened to. You know, this was something that made me realise how heavy and brooding music could be, and this track comes under the brooding thing because, like you say, it's not really fast and it's not really slow. It's kind of in that shaky middle ground of not really knowing what it's doing. But I like it for that.
Yeah, see, and that is the main reason why I don't like it. So, yeah, I mean, I knew that. I mean, yeah, I'm not giving away any like big secrets. I knew that you thought this song was okay. I knew that. Yeah, there was going to be a big difference of opinion as far as what you think of it compared to me. But I think the album would have been better if it just had this left off. But yeah, here you go.
might have fit onto one record, then that might have been.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even more reason to get rid of it. Wouldn't have had to get a double LP. I always hated that. The fact it was a double LP. You had two songs, and you got to turn the record over. You know.
I've got
Anyway.
a feeling. I've got a feeling you've got this at number 9.
I don't know how you guess.
Elementary, Watson.
Right, where have you got it?
Number 6.
Fuck it. So there's another song that's going to be below this on your list. Fucking hell. 3 songs you think are worse or not as good as Harvester of Sorrow. Oh.
The worst thing about it now, you've got to listen to it now.
I was just going to say, let's get it over with, shall we?
Should we listen to the whole of this one?
No, let's not, eh?
There you go. Got it out of the way now.
Yeah, I did think of one positive thing to say about this song.
Well, it's not very long.
Yeah, it's one of the shortest songs on the album, yeah.
You would have thought, really, from a technical point of view, they would have made The Shortest Straw the shortest song on them.
Well, yeah, it's also, actually, knowing the way they were thinking, I was surprised they didn't make The Shortest Straw the longest song.
Right, well, this brings us on to a track that always makes me laugh.
Frayed Ends of Sanity.
Well, it makes me laugh because I used to buy a magazine called Raw Power. And they occasionally had amusing charts in there. Like they'd have, I think they had the Condom chart before, so they had like Metallica's Disposable Heroes, like they had stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, this chart that they made in totally bad taste was released in their magazine a couple of weeks after Mike Smith stacked his helicopter. And it's I've got to keep a straight face to say this, right? They had this in their charts, but they changed it to the Frayed Ends of Sarah Green. And that's why this song always makes me laugh. I mean, that is a really cunty thing to say, but it's so funny.
I always thought Mike Smith was a cunt, so yeah, if anything, taking the piss out of him, it gets my vote.
I wish you'd tell us what you really think of people.
All right, no more holding back. Um, Best song on the album for me.
Not for me, but
I think it's just fucking. It could maybe do without the chant at the start.
the chart of the yellow winkies from the Wizard of Oz.
Whatever it is, I
Yeah, is
don't.
that's the witches soldiers from the film version of Wizard of Oz. The what's her name, Judy Garland version.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's their chant.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, maybe it could have done without that. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not a highlight of it. The rest of the song, I think, fucking just yeah, absolutely superb. This is definitely another prime example of progressive thrash. I love the slightly unusual tempo throughout most of it. A lot of tempo changes. This one's always strikes me as being a real fuck at the drum, especially when you're going from the verse. Then you got the very subtle sort of tempo change into the bridge and into the chorus, and oh fucking yeah. This is one of those songs that shows, yeah, Lars Ulrich could still drum.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do like this song. I mean, I like all of them, but yeah, this as you say, the time changes in this and the stops and starts. I mean, you saying about it being a fuck at a drum. If I was given the choice that I had to play this song live, what part would I like to do? I'd choose singer because
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere near an instrument for this one. You know, I'm not going to say it's all over the place, but it stops, it starts, it changes time, and then you got. I mean, this song's got the amount of bridges in this song to link parts together.
Yeah.
This is probably the most technical song on the album.
I think so. The weird thing is actually, it's almost a bit of an exception to a rule because generally I don't like it when songs keep sort of like changing bits every now and then. As much as I'm a fan of Bulk Trad, they are rather guilty of this. There are some songs, especially in their earlier stuff on like Realm of Chaos, where the riff's underway and they basically do this riff for like 4 beats and then it stops and it's a totally different riff and then it goes on and 4 beats, stops, totally different, and it drives me around the bend. Somehow this gets away with it, more than gets away with it. It sounds fucking great, but yeah, it is a bit of an exception to the rule for me there.
Yeah, I'm actually I wasn't expecting this for you to say this was the best one on the album by quite some distance. Actually, I honestly thought you was going to pick "And Justice for All," the title track. So,
well, I'll come clean. I very nearly did, but I gave it a couple more listens, and yeah, I thought no, Eye of the Beholder just squeaks ahead, and this ahead of the two of them.
Yeah, you're probably going to be disappointed with my placing of this one then.
Yeah, so you've got it. You've got this below Harvester of Sorrow, have you?
I've got it at number 7.
What a fucking Philistine. Yeah, well, definite number 1 for me. Yeah, I just fucking love this song. Yeah, I mean, you know, if I was doing like a top 10, potential spoilers, if I was doing a top 10 of like, you know, metal songs right across, you know, the spectrum, it's definitely be in there. I think it's that good.
No, it's fair enough. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, apart from choosing my first and last placed songs on this one, I had a real sort of struggle jumble trying to put them all together. I mean, I must have. I know the album inside out, but to put things where I put them, I had to listen to it a couple of times again to be sure, just to make sure I hadn't forgot any of the nuanced parts and that. And yeah, I mean, the places 5, 6, 7, and 8 were the most difficult to place for me anyway. So,
Yeah. Okay, let's have a bit of the best song on the album then.
I'm not going to play that yet. We haven't heard it yet.
Super.
It's got a good riff going on that. Once you get past the chanting.
Right. So, well, after that, To Live Is To Die. Really not what I was expecting at all on here. I mean, okay, we could expect an instrumental, and for, all intents and purposes, this is an instrumental song. But it wasn't at all what I was expecting from, after all of the previous songs we've had. This is much more sort of simple, much more basic. At least it sounds it. But it fucking works.
Oh yeah, I mean, this song has Cliff Burton's last writing credit on it, doesn't it, as well? And I'm assuming he did actually have some input into it before he died. Something perhaps they'd started working on, rather than them just putting his name on it for memory's sake.
I think so. Well, isn't it Burton's voice? Let's say singing. It is just spoken.
Well, it's a spoken part. It's a bit from Excalibur, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Huh.
Yeah, when a man lies, he murders a part of. I'm pretty sure that is in the film Excalibur, the John Borman film.
That line is, but yeah, that's the only bit that is.
yeah. I think it's Cliff Burton. Without poncing about on Google, I don't know. Perhaps people can tell us in the comments. Because I've always thought it was as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is Burton. A very simple riff that plays pretty much from start to finish, but it's a good one. This is definitely a song which I get the feeling, like you're saying, Burton must have worked on this, so this must have been one of the first songs that was written for it. And I wonder if this song rather dictated the sound of the album, because this really does suit the album sound perfectly. I
Oh yeah.
don't think it would have sounded or worked on any of the previous ones.
No, I mean this takes the sound and runs with it. I mean, you're saying about it sounding simple, and I totally agree with that, because when you listen to how technical, especially the previous track was, the main riff of this, I managed to learn to play on guitar by ear. And I'm not an accomplished guitarist at all. I bought an electric guitar. I could play a few bits and pieces, and the main riff of this I learned how to play on guitar. And there's I wouldn't even stand a chance of knowing where to start with the Frayed Ends of Sanity. So yeah, so that would lead me to agree with you there, that it's definitely a lot simpler. I mean, you can hear it's a lot simpler.
It doesn't suffer for it at all. I don't think.
Oh no, not at all.
Anyone, yeah. If anyone was to say, "Oh, it's so basic, it's shit," yeah, fuck off. Yeah, I can't really think of a lot else to say about it. I mean, I think it just works, and it works fucking well. It was a real sort of struggle as to where I was going to put this in my list. And even though, yeah, I'm happy with how my list is drawn up, I always feel this one should be higher than I've got it. But well, it is what it is. I've got it at number 5 on mine.
I've got it at number 4 on mine.
No arguments with there.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's a great instrumental, and it goes on for nearly 10 minutes.
Yeah, but it's another one where it flies by.
Yeah, it does.
Certainly doesn't sound like you've been listening to it for 10 minutes. I particularly like the intro to it, which is played on a 12-string guitar. I just think that does sound fucking great. It has an almost sort of medieval sound to it, I think.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, he left the flamenco alone for this one.
Yeah. Well, we gotta have a bit of this.
Okie dokie. What a great instrumental that is.
Yeah. Would you say it's their best instrumental?
Uh, Depends on the day.
I,
Today, yes, but I mean, I really like the Call of Cthulhu, as you know,
yeah.
and then I really like Orion as well. I mean, this
Yeah.
was their last big instrumental, really, weren't it?
Yeah, that's right. Um, I think Orion just shades it, but it is close between Orion and this.
I mean, I know it means you're going to go and find another video, but I would like to have heard that with Cliff Burton playing it with his whaley bass sounds that he used to do, especially on that main riff there.
Well, yeah, it does actually sound like, doesn't it? It sounds like it was written with, yeah, the intention of giving him the chance to throw a lot of that in, or at least some of it. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, a great instrumental.
Yeah, no argument from me.
Which brings us on to the final track, and then obviously, you know, if I didn't already know in advance, I certainly know now, seeing as all your previous results. You got this at number one.
I have got it at number one. Not only is it the best song on this album, it's quite possibly for me the best song Metallica ever committed to tape.
Okay, now, okay. um, well, if you haven't already figured it out from the rest of my list, I've got this at number 6. It would be higher, but there is one slight issue I have with it, and it's exactly the same issue that you have with Shortest Straw. This is an out-and-out thrash song, no question of that.
Yeah.
And the album sound doesn't suit out-and-out thrash. Not to me, anyway.
Oh, well, I'll have to have a differ of opinion on that because I think everything about this song is nigh on perfect. I think this is one of the ones where the production hasn't taken a hit. It just works on this one. I mean,
Yeah,
all right. If you listen to the version with the added bass, it's even better because it gives it a larger wall of sound. But I literally have got nothing negative. This is my favourite Metallica song. This is, you know, when Metallica released their albums after this, you know, although there might have been one or two songs I do like, and I did quite like the most recent of their albums, this is the bar with which it's set for me because this is the first Metallica album I heard, and what a way to close an album. I mean, as it transpired, they'd done it before with Damage Inc. on Master of Puppets.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know, just a balls
Also,
out.
of course, on their debut album, they closed that out with Metal Militia, so they do seem to like having their, like, you know, real fast pounding songs to close out.
Yeah. Well, they didn't do it on Ride the Lightning though. That was Call of Cthulhu,
Call of
wasn't it?
Cthulhu, yeah, that yeah, that didn't quite follow that trend, did it?
No, and I don't know why. Because if I'd have put the track order together for that, I think I would have finished that off with Creeping Death. But that's just me.
I'm just trying to think about if it finished off with Fight Fire with Fire. Mind you, that is such a fucking like pounding intro.
Yeah,
I think keep that in front. Keep that first. Yeah, have Creeping Death as the final song. What a way to end that would have been.
Yeah,
but we do seem to be straying a bit from this one. I mean, like the lyrics. It's well known. James Hetfield basically saying how much he hates his parents. Yeah, nice one, James.
Well, you know, you got to suffer for your art, ain't you? And,
yeah. I mean, it's like, don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, I do not think it's a bad song, not even remotely. It is a fucking great song, but doesn't quite, for me, suit the album sound and album production. The reason I think it is the snare drum again. That splashy sort of like snare drum sound really does not suit, you know, like, you know, balls out thrash songs, which this absolutely is. Doesn't ruin it. Doesn't even come close to ruin it. But it's just, I think it could have sounded, a bit tighter, a bit better, and then it could well have been like the agreement from me of it being Metallica's best.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've all got our own likes and dislikes. I just can't fault this song in any way whatsoever, which is why I put it at number one. I'm not overly worried about what he's singing about, as long as he's not singing, kill animals, hurt children, and stuff like that. Lyrics don't bother me to a great extent. But yeah, like you say, it is well documented. In fact, if it wasn't well documented, you can hear it in the lyrics.
Well, I see. Yeah, even if it wasn't well documented, it don't take a genius to figure it out. First listen, yeah, you know what this is about.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I suppose my favourite band is Iron Maiden, my favourite musical style is thrash metal, and this is an out and out thrash song.
Oh yeah, nobody could argue with that.
And it's the shortest song on the album as well.
Yeah, that is a bit of a shame, that, isn't it? That a song like that. I mean, I guess with it being so much of a thrash song, and thrash metal does seem to be very much about sort of like short, sharp shocks.
Well, yeah, if they'd have played this at Harvester of Sorrow speed, it'd have been 36 minutes.
Yeah. Fucking hell, this song played at Harvester of Sorrow speed, yeah, I think that would be testing my patience a little bit, that one. Okay, well, let's have a burst of that, and while that is playing, I've got some totting up to do.
Righto. Yeah, I didn't want to turn that one off either.
No.
Yeah, that for me is Metallica's greatest 5 minutes and 16 seconds. It's just one of them songs for me.
It's a great way to end the album, no doubt about it. However, whatever order they would have had this playlist set, this had to be the final song.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
go anywhere else. Right, we have our well, I say top 9. We have the songs in order. And
And
they can't.
you're gonna start at the bottom and work up,
I,
hopefully.
I am, yes. Now, there are a couple that are in joint places, but here we go. So, ninth with 15 points. Harvester of Sorrow, so at least he got it was put in the right place. Equal seventh with 12 points are one, yeah, and the shortest straw. No. Right. In equal fifth place with 11 points are Blackened and Eye of the Beholder. Fourth with 9 points, To Live Is To Die. And third with 8 points, Fray's Ends of Sanity. Yeah, I'll live with that. In second place with 7 points, Dyer's Eve. And at number one with 5 points, And Justice for All.
That's not a bad order.
No, that ain't a bad order at all, actually. Yeah, I was very close to putting And Justice for All at number one. So the fact that it's ended up at number one from our combined lists, yeah, I can certainly take that.
Yeah, I mean, I was never going to put anything else at number one. I mean, if I'd have done it I mean, I did it in terms of what I thought of the tracks. If I'd have done it in terms of technical ability, then my order would have been quite a lot different, and I would have had Injustice for All at number one. So,
yeah, I mean, the unfortunate thing there is, yeah, if you're going to do it in terms of technical ability, then To Live Is To Die would have to be at number 9, and there was no way I was going to have that at number 9.
Yeah.
So here we are, the definitive. Absolutely no arguments now. It's been written in written in pen and ink anyway. And
That Dyer's Eve is better than Eye of the Beholder. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's just settle with the fact that the title track then of Had Justice for All has come out at number one, which I am quite happy to go along with. Actually, it may not have been at my number one. I had it at number 3. You had it at number 2. So yeah, it was high enough.
Yeah,
I can live with it being number 1. And I certainly have got no complaints with the fact that Harvester of Sorrow came last. Where it fucking belongs. As he belongs in a fucking burning cesspit somewhere.
You don't like it, do you?
No, I'm not a fan of it, no. Like I said, yeah, no more sitting on the fence with me. Right, well, we don't actually have any, honourable mentions with this one, so... I guess that is it. Mind you, we've managed to talk about one album for, nearly an hour and, over an hour and 45 minutes. So we ain't done bad.
And we didn't even cover the B-sides of the singles.
Oh, that's true. I'm trying to... B-sides of the singles. Well, on Harvester of Sorrow, you had Bread Fan, didn't you? And was it The Prince?
Yeah, and on one of the other ones, it was Am I Evil, wasn't it?
The only one I know Am I Evil from was the B-side to Creeping Death.
Oh, was it? I don't know. That's a lot earlier than I remember then.
Yeah, you had Am I Evil and Blitzkrieg were the B-sides.
Oh, yeah, of course you did, yeah.
The B-sides to one were live tracks, weren't they? So you had, if you had the 7-inch single, you had the live version of Seek and Destroy. And if you had the 12-inch single, you had live versions of For Whom the Bell Tolls and Welcome Home Sanitarium.
I bet you, Budgie had no qualms whatsoever with Metallica bringing Bread Fan back into the fore, because that was quite popular, weren't it, Metallica's cover of that?
Yeah, I was not that familiar with Budgie at all.
No, nor was I.
And they've done... I know they've done more than one cover of theirs. Isn't Helpless, isn't that a Budgie cover?
I'm not sure if Helpless is. I can't remember all the tracks that are on that thing now. It might well be. I can't remember because they
Yeah,
covered Killing Joke and the Misfits and all sorts on the.
yeah. Actually, that one, the Wait, the Killing Joke cover. I do prefer the original, I must admit, but I think that is the best song on that EP.
It is good.
Fucking great they are. The
Yeah.
best thing about that EP, you can actually hear Jason Newsted's bass. Especially in Crash Course in Brain Surgery. Actually, I think that's the Budgie cover, Crash Course in Brain Surgery.
I can't remember, mate. Yeah, and it does. It is weird that they put that out in must have been '87. I mean, I've got that on vinyl. I've got the one that was a weird. That was a weird one. This is going off a bit of a tangent, but me and two of my mates, we all bought that on the same day from the same record shop. One of the guys had one of the tracks missing. I can't remember which track it was, but he had a track missing, so he only had 4 tracks instead of 5. And every single one was on a different label. I think mine was on Elektra. One of the guys had it on Music for Nations, and I can't remember the other label, but all 3 bought at the same time in the same shop were different. And that was really fucking bizarre.
Yeah, I didn't think they were still on Music for Nations when they did that EP.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my one's on it on Elektra. Yeah, one was Music for Nations, and yeah, I don't know what the other one was, but it was really strange that we all bought the same thing, and it was like 3 different versions of it.
Yeah, mind you, I bet he who had the missing track, he must have been fucking pissed off about that.
But it weren't even on the listing. We basically went up to where they've got all the records back then. If they had 10 copies or something, they had them all together in the rack. We just went in, all picked one up each, just went up and paid for it. It wasn't until we got home that we realised someone had a track missing, and it weren't even in the credits on the back. So, maybe that one's worth a bit of money now. Who
I
knows?
was just thinking that, if he's still got that, I bet that is worth a fucking mint now. That's
Yeah, it
got
could
to
well
be a
be.
fucking rarity, that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in the long run, it may have worked out all right for him.
Yeah.
Well, here we are. Metallica's and Justice for All album. It's fucking timeless. I still listen to this an absolute shitload, and even though I've been slating Harvester of Sorrow, okay, deservedly. I'm not going to skip it when I'm listening to it. It's an album that you really need to listen to from start to finish, and despite our order, just go and get it, put on Blackened, and leave it running until Die Z finishes. That's the best way to listen to it.
Can't argue with that.
Right, well that is this one done, it's not the last of us. We do have a few more lined up. The next one I think could be something a bit special. I'm not sure if Jim will be included in it. We'll certainly ask him, but it is the top 10 thrash albums, and this is one I am pretty keen to do. I wouldn't say thrash metal is my favourite genre of metal. If you ignore all the fucking unbearable bullshit that goes with it and just focus on the music, then I would say black metal is my favourite. But I mean, I listened to thrash almost exclusively for years. I know, not exclusively, but you listen to absolute fucking shitloads of it and still do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be quite a list. We're going to make that one top 10 of each of ours, not just top 5s. So,
Wonder how many duplicates we'll get.
bands, yes. Albums, that's a real tricky one, that. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I look forward to it, mate.
Yeah. Okay, well, there we go. That's us done. I'll put this out sometime within the next sort of 5 years. And in the meantime, that's it. So now go away.